Good Monday morning, everybody. This is Grace, and I want to tell a story. I have basically told a little bit of it before, but it's a good story for this title of this video. As an example, it was years ago. There was a woman I worked with, and everybody there. It was a very stressful job, and everybody there had was stressed out, and everybody had stress in their lives outside of work, also situations. And so it was very stressful all around. And this one woman, I've mentioned her before, she somehow, some way, she got it into her mind that one of the people, one of the men working there, had liked her, that really liked her in a romantic kind of way. And now she was married. We were all in three of us were in our, say, early 40s, early to mid 40s, and um, so was she. But she had this belief, and the thing about the guy, he was kind of like a really sweet guy, really nice, not the kind that you would ever even think. And of course, you never really know, but he just didn't put off any kind of thought that he was trying to manipulate anybody. Um, he was very kind of, in a way, goofy even, and he was humorous. And his stories were funny, and other people knew him really well. And yeah, his reputation was just that he was a fun, nice, kind guy, and so he was nice to everybody. So everybody's basically human. And this job, we had people that came in to work every once in a while, like a contract, and the women generally thought that he was flirting with them. And I even went through a time kind of wondering myself, but having been a person that this has happened to, I've been on that side that he was on. Just being a nice person would make some men think that I was flirting when I was not. I just saw everybody as human. So it was very, like I said, very stressful. And this one woman, Shell, I'll call her Shell, she she really thought he had a thing for her, and she was the type that held up her finger and said, "My friends say that and twirled her other finger, from the other hand around it, and said, this is how my friends think I am. The world revolves around her." And we laughed, but we all kind of knew that was very true. And she had some little bit of delusional behaviors at times, seeing things that we didn't see, none of us, and along that line. But she really thought, and it developed over time, that he had a thing for her, and we all pretty much knew he didn't. Okay, now an important part to this is that he saw everybody as human, just as I do. Everybody has their strengths, weaknesses, and all that line. But as far as the actual job, the workplace, he had a higher status there. So that's important to this part. Well, he was, like I said, very friendly, and every woman that I saw would think that he had a little thing for them. And I got to know him. He would have lunch with me, and I got to know him fairly well. But he did keep part of him private, and I could see part of his life private, and I could see that he wasn't totally insensitive to the fact that women um, thought he was flirting with them. And it would actually make him a little bit, I could see, this really nice kind of guy, I could see it would irritate him when a woman would think a bit more, that he was thinking more. So I was well aware of it myself. And anyway, at one point he was going on vacation, and he was taking a vacation to a different country. And he, told me, I knew that he was going, and, did the usual thing, have a great trip, all that kind of stuff. And so he left, and for his trip. And Shell, we worked in Cubeville, and she was right across from me, and somehow she heard that he had left, and she said that she couldn't believe that he didn't tell her he was taking a vacation. And that was kind of more of like one of my really big moments when I realized, she wasn't thinking right about this, to, my view, of course, but I've already experienced her having little delusions, something you would call it, rather delusional. But she was very upset about it, and she just said she couldn't believe that he didn't tell her, and that she should know, kind of thing, and on and on down that road. And so after that, he was gone for, I guess, a couple weeks, I don't know, and then she heard that he had come back. And that's when it got even stranger. Okay. Of course, some people could say, and it could be true, that maybe they did have something going on, and because of his status at the workplace, he didn't want people to know, and she was making too much of it. We could go down that line and say that we were just kind of all clueless of what was going on behind the scenes between the two of them. But we all knew her because of her personality type. She made us well aware of her, of who she was, and all that. But we also knew him, so it was a combination, and basically knew. And I would go with her to lunch, and me and the administrative assistant would go to lunch together, and I got the same clue from the administrative assistant that she thought something was a little bit odd. Now, here in this area, one thing I've noticed a lot about people is that they won't come out and say things, just come out and say how they don't call it as they see it, kind of thing. And I grew up with people who called it as they saw it, that along that line. And everything's kind of covert, really. It's all behind the scenes. You don't know what people are saying and doing. You could be a scapegoat or something, and you wouldn't know because it's all behind the scenes. And I've seen that in my life. But we all, she kind of got stranger, weirder and weirder, you could say, as he was gone. And when he came back, I don't know if I knew that he was back. I think I did. I think I saw him walk through the Cubeville kind of thing. And it came lunchtime, and the administrative assistant, she couldn't go for some reason. So I went with Shell, just me and Shell, to a restaurant. And we loved to go into restaurants. That was our thing, all of us, and the guys would go to lunch too. And there was some things that like that, like, if we all wound up at the same restaurant for lunch, to her, him being there at that restaurant was kind of like he was doing it on purpose, just to see her, just to be away from the office and see her, kind of thing, before he went on his vacation. And to me, he gave every impression that he didn't really want her to think like that. But anyway, so that day that he came back, or I think it was the day he came back, Michelle and I went to lunch, and I was sitting across from her. We were in a booth, and she started talking and about him, and I'm sitting there and just kind of like, delusion is one thing that really gets to me. It really upsets me of everything, because think of my past, the people that are quite delusional about their status in the world. But she started talking about him in a very odd way. Okay, now I don't know exactly how to describe the look on her face while she was telling me all of this, but I guess you could say along the line of the cat that ate the canary, maybe, but I had seen it one time before, a woman who was bipolar, and she was refusing to take her medication, and it's kind of like a sinister look at the same time, like she's well aware of something that nobody else is, kind of thing. And anyway, this is getting long, this part, but anyway, she sat there in front of me, we're having lunch, and she started telling me that this guy, he came back, from his vacation, and she saw him, and she kept trying to get him to talk to her about his vacation and why he didn't tell her that he was going on vacation. And apparently she had tried calling him, and while he was on his vacation, everything, calling him, texting him, whatever, and he wasn't returning her calls and all, and why he didn't tell her that he was returning and everything. And and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at her and getting a little more and more disturbed by what she was saying and how she was saying it and what she looked like while she was saying it. But basically, she went on and said that, that she saw him, she finally managed to see that he walked out the door to go, we were on real high up, I don't remember what floor it was, but she saw him to go toward the elevator. So she ran out and got in the elevator with him. And you know, as soon as, I don't know if someone was on it or what, but she basically said that she made the elevator stop and go, you know, go up and down, and wouldn't let him out of the elevator because she wanted to find out about his vacation and why he didn't do all this kind of stuff and everything. And I'm sitting there thinking how disturbed this guy must have been, because he's just a nice guy, and to be trapped in a an elevator with somebody who's acting this crazy, you know, it's crazy about it, and he doesn't have that same feeling toward her, and she's trapping him in an elevator to get this story out of him. And she was very proud of it. She was very proud of what she did to get the information. And after that, I don't know what happened. I think I don't remember, but we were all very concerned about her. And I didn't work there much longer, I don't think, not because of her, but because the workplace was just extremely stressful. And at one point I said, that's it, I'm not working here anymore. Even though I was my own sole provider at the time, I couldn't take that stress, so I quit. But I don't know if any, I think he wound up being put in the field away from the office. So, yeah. Okay. Now, in some twisted kind of way, like this isn't all twisted, it could, of course, be that because she was the type to think the world revolved around her, that she kind of projected, you know, to make it herself look even more important to other people also, um, by saying that he had a thing for her. You see what I'm saying? Instead of that she had a thing for him, it was that he had a thing for her. And it was more about her, you know, feeling so, loving herself so much that, of course, you know, somebody else that was higher up would love her. And that he did. And her whole view was he did. And none of us saw it. None of us. None of us felt that way. And we all knew he was friendly and everything. So, but this, I mean, we've all probably, it's maybe at some point, who knows, have felt that somebody, you know, liked us because of maybe, you know, they were giving mixed signals, or um, it reminded me of a story from an experience I had when I was a kid. Uh, it was in junior high, so I would have been 11, 12, or 13 years old. And little did I know back then, at that age, I was kind of naive to this, because my history was in like second grade. I read every mythology book I could find in the school library. And of course, it was about love and stuff like that. But as a, you know, 11, 12, or 13-year-old, I didn't really understand that, you know, boys in my class, there were 3 of them, would look at me in a certain way, and it didn't mean love. You know, I was so naive to that back then, and it was very different than it is now. But yeah, it happened to me, and I thought that this one boy in my class, you know, was the same age as I, and I thought for certain, you know, that he felt love, young kid, you know, but no, he didn't, and it was just what teenage boys, or not even, they weren't all teenage, but at that, you know, raging hormone kind of age. Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't something I thought about really after that, and thought of it that way, because by then it was over. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was after high school, and I was married, and why would I even think of that kind of thing? But, you know, even before. So anyway, I mean, I think we've all experienced somebody, you know, that gave us the wrong, that we got from them the wrong feeling, you know, thinking they had something romantic, or something, I don't know, romantic might be even the wrong word, but some romantic, or, you know, they wanted some kind of connection that was beyond what they were wanting. So that's one thing. But then, you know, there's an obsessive kind of love, and that can come about too, and that's a bit different. Okay, in both of these kinds of love, some would say that this other one that I just kind of described as erotomania. Um, there's another name for it. It's a syndrome with a last name that I've never heard pronounced, and I would really mess it up. But as far as but in both of them, obsessive love and this erotomania, they simply cannot believe, when there's evidence that the other person doesn't really have those feelings. They don't believe it. They'll see it as some other something else. The find another way to say that it's, you know, in their mind, oh, they're just doing that for people so people won't know, kind of thing. Some kind of lie they tell themselves because they can't feel that rejection. They're not going to. But an obsessive love is usually somebody that they maybe they even are in a relationship with, and they just want to possess the person. Basically, what it comes down to, they get jealous. They're, you know, fits of rage of jealousy or rage jealousy or anything that might seem like that person's not their possession. In other words, their possession. Anyway, this is getting long, and these are some examples of something. You know, I'm going to start talking more about this, as I said in an earlier video. So I'm trying to stick to it. In other words, one I was going to talk about gray rock, never got to that. But anyway, this is enough for this video, and I will talk to y'all later.